model, but physicians are no longer inhibited with that entire cycle, right? So there's that. But I also want to speak to Black doctors in academic medicine. I'd come across I guess it's an op-ed. The publication is called Stat, and so I tried to find an about this publication. There's not a lot of information about what Stat is, but it's apparently it's a healthcare medicine magazine, I guess, like an online publication. And so the title of this particular article is Why Black Doctors Like Me Are Leaving Faculty Positions in Academic Medical Centers. And so some of it speaks to what we just said, but its focus obviously is on racial discrimination and disparities, not just in healthcare toward patients, but toward the actual staff, the healthcare staff who are working in these academic medicine models. And so this doctor went on to talk about how it begins in medical school, that there are Black medical students who feel isolated, and then it's very easy for them to be discriminated against because there are not people who look like them that they can confide in. And when they are, if it gets bad enough to the point that they do go to tell or share their experience, a lot of times they are dismissed, right? This is a familiar story, so I don't need to break down every single detail about it, but we get that, right? That these doctors are isolated, they're mistreated. It starts in medical school. But what I want to point out, because we talk about, and again, if you follow me, y'all need to follow me. If you follow me on social media, you know that Dr. Midwife talks about this a lot. Her real name is Stephanie Mitchell. Her real name is Stephanie Mitchell, but I want y'all to find her. So Dr. Midwife, but she does a live called Sunday Cervix every Sunday. And this past Sunday, I hopped on for a quick second to talk about this notion of all skin folk ain't your kinfolk, right? And this idea that a lot of times Black people have, and I'm sure this goes across different races and groups of people, because it doesn't just have to be about your race or ethnicity. Like, this is also can be the same issue for people who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, that they'll think that they find a great ally in a doctor because that doctor is of the same community that they are from, only to find out later or feel later betrayed by that doctor, because the care that they were expecting is not the care that they received. And the only thing they were basing their expectations on, the patient I'm speaking of, the only thing the patient is basing their expectation on is this shared skin tone, or this shared ethnic identity, or this shared cultural identity, right? And so I want to, while I recognize and we can identify that Black doctors are in these workplaces being treated sometimes just as horribly as the patients are being treated. Black nurses are in these hospitals being treated by their counterparts, by their superiors, by their supervisors and managers and administrators. They're being treated just as horribly as the Black patients who come into that facility are being treated. But what happens is that then sometimes the Black faculty, the Black staff, the Black doctors, the Black nurses turn around and then put that same that same mistreatment onto patients. That's called transference of power. Okay, transference of power is where there is a person who is more powerful, right? In whatever the dynamic is. So let's just use a domestic abuse dynamic. So there is the partner in a domestic abuse dynamic in my scenario that I'm making up off the top of my head right now. This is a male partner, okay? This is a cis-het couple. And so the man is the head of the household. He's the one making the money, bringing home the bacon, right? He goes off into his workplace. He is not of any power. He is not a part of the power structure in that workplace. He gets there. He is treated horribly. He's discriminated against. He's yelled at. He's given the crappy shifts. He can't speak up for himself. If he tries to speak up for himself, he's retaliated against. And so then he comes home and he takes out the abuse that he has received onto his less powerful partner within the home. Okay? And so now he's abusing her because he's taken this huge lash beating all day long at work, and he doesn't know anything else to do with it. He feels disempowered. He doesn't have anywhere for that to go. So he comes home and he just emulates what he's been through all day and puts it onto his wife, and if they have children, onto their children. Right? That's transference of power. Now he gets to be the big superior person and dictate everything and cause harm to someone else so that he gets that monkey off his back. And now it's on someone else. So it's the same concepts, the same idea in medicine, that these Black providers are in this space. They've been there since medical school. They're just trying to get in where they fit in and do their best so they can take care of their community, or so they can make their money, or whatever, make their family proud, whatever it is that brought them there, right? They just want to get in and do the work. But in doing the work, they're taking on all of the mistreatment and the ill treatment, much of which is very much so targeted. It's not happening by people who are ignorant to the fact that they're doing these things. I'm speaking of and to white people, because most of the time it's being done on purpose, regardless of what gets put in HR reports. I'm going to catch myself because I feel myself getting hot. I feel myself getting real hot right there. Like, whoo, bring it back, girl. We not there no more. We left that, okay? But so that's what's happening, is that transference of power. And so now you have Black doctors, or now you have Black nurses who are only doing, and again, this is not a justification because it's wrong. The behavior is wrong, period, point blank. But so they're doing that then to their patients. Black doctors are now mistreating their Black nurses, or their Black medical assistants, talking down to them, having expectations that they haven't expressed. So then the staff doesn't know that the doctor wanted something a certain way, but when it doesn't happen, the doctor blames them because they should have known. Things like that, right? There's just a lot of anger. There's a lot of competition, a lot of anger, a lot of angst, and people are just walking around all these hospitals like taking shit out on each other, essentially. And I I mean, that's American culture. That's America. That's the United States. Okay? Because that's the culture that we have been brought up in. This highly competitive, narcissistic culture. The other issue that happens is that there's is assimilation. And so there are some Black doctors, and again, I'm speaking Black because that's the article that I read, and I'm Black, and, you know, I'm speaking from that standpoint. The community that I serve is mostly the Black community, and that's who I speak up for. My voice is always to make sure that Black people are in medical spaces know what they deserve. So I'm saying Black, but anybody can relate to this. The other thing is assimilation. Assimilation happens where these Black doctors, they get into the practices, you know, they get in there and they're like, all I want to do is do my work and do my job. And so I'm going to get in and I'm going to fit in. I'm going to do what people say do. And what winds up happening in those cases is they run the risk of being the token Black, where they're then used for those within the power structure, use that Black doctor or that Black nurse who has chosen to assimilate to take on the aspects of the culture that is already there, which is rooted in white supremacy. And so they will then force that doctor to take those same measures out on staff that is inferior to them, whether those are other doctors that are working underneath this doctor, whether that's medical staff like nurses and medical assistants and, you know, front desk people and all of that. And so now the white power structure doesn't even any longer they don't have to do it, because they've hired this Black overseer, okay, to distribute all of that mistreatment and misbehavior, ill behavior, discrimination, all of those things, okay? So that's the culture. That's the culture of academic medicine. That's what you poor, like, poor patients who just, you know, like, damn, I'm having a heart attack. I just need to go into this hospital for people to save my life. And you don't know that you're even walking into a system where this is what these people are doing to one another. And you are a number on the factory machine that has become academic medicine. Again, I will say this until the end of time. Individual you does not matter to the big machine, the capitalistic, patriarchal machine that is academic medicine. Individual you does not matter to this. Going back to the story at the top, the young lady at Memorial Hermann. So the first thing I do is, who's the CEO? Because I'm about to get him. I don't even care about these nurses, and they're ignorant and stupid. They're playing little stupid, playground bully games with this young woman. I don't care about those nurses, because I know anything can happen and a nurse can be gone. Like, that means nothing. I want this CEO. So I Google him. Who's the CEO of Memorial Hermann Hospital? His last name is Calendar. First thing that pulls up is that he became the CEO at Memorial Hermann in January of 2019. And the title of the article is that he wants to bring healthcare